good sleep in this morning and got some rest as we head into the final 2 weeks of the winter term. Congratulations to our boys squash team on a very exciting New England championship last Saturday with wins against TP, Concord, and Canterbury. That was exciting and well earned. Thanks also for your renewed commitment to our dress code. We have much to look forward to this week, including a Mardi Gras dinner on Thursday evening, our dance shows on Thursday and Friday. We're also hopeful that our boys ski team can bring home a league championship on Wednesday, and I know our swimmers have a big meet coming up at Williston next Saturday. I also know many preparations are underway for end-of-season athletic contests and for our telethon on March 2nd in support of Help Hope Live. Today we have 8 seniors presenting, starting with Ellie and concluding with Daniel. Let me now turn to Ellie Collier.
Hi everyone, my name is Ellie Collier and I'm a 3-year senior from Darien, Connecticut. Like many of my classmates, I struggled in thinking of a topic for today's speech. Reflecting on my time at Suffield, I thought of how the school has influenced me. On top of all the good, I feel that even the harder times were moments where I was able to grow and learn. For as long as I can remember, I've always struggled with a voice in my head. A little different than the angel and devil in one's shoulders on a TV show, it's been someone telling me that I'm not good enough, and despite what I do, I won't reach the level of being whatever good enough is. As I glanced into mirrors, walked onto sports fields, or sat down to take tests, I was constantly reminded that I had put my best foot forward, and if I didn't, I was disappointing those around me. Constantly, my mind races as I think of what I can do better, or how I must be seen in the eyes of others. I thought that the racing would never get better, but that was until I started listening to other voices. I was at basketball practice sophomore year, stressing about how I compared to the other players when I heard, you know, missing one shot isn't going to kill you. I turned around, looked down, and I see Mr. Patterson. I had been introduced to him and Miss Patterson when I toured the previous summer, but I hadn't overlapped with him much since then. He seemed nice, but I didn't really know what to say, so I probably said something like, yeah, and then awkwardly thought about how I made the wrong impression on the coach. However, this wasn't the case. From then on, Mr. Patterson made it his job to get me to start thinking more constructively. He pushed me to work harder and sprint faster, but also encouraged me to focus on what I did well rather than what I did wrong. Mr. Patterson, I'm sorry I offended you when I asked you to be my guest on Grandparents' Day, but you got me back when you told me I could go D1 for a basketball school of the blind. I appreciate all you've taught me and how you're a great mentor, but even more so, a friend. I learned that I can't achieve the impossible set standards that I set myself with, and I need to cut myself some slack. As I continue to work on it, I think of how you have my back on and off the field or court, and I'm grateful for that. Additionally, I've learned so much from my classmates, teammates, teachers, friends, and family. Ms. Hoddesy, you are a great advisor, and I'm grateful for your support. Thank you to all my teachers and classmates for opening up a new perspective on almost every topic we talked about. A special thanks to Ms. Rawlings, who will give me an intense cold shoulder if I don't publicly acknowledge her. And thank you for always having an open door. Thank you to Mr. Carroll for making Rockwell the best for 2 years. Thank you to my teammates for great seasons with encouragement, perseverance, and friendships. I'm lucky to have co-captained the soccer team this past year where I was put into a leadership position, but I was constantly learning from others. And to my 2 great roommates, thank you for making my dorm room feel more like home. Suffield has taught me so much, and I'm so grateful for the time I've had here. The voices in my head still remain, but with the guidance of those around me, I've been able to grow and will continue to. Thank you.
Hi Suffield, my name is Bryn Grant, a 3-year senior from Rancho, Connecticut. I grew up in a big family. Everyone here has a place in your family. Maybe you're the only, the oldest, the baby. In my family, I'm the middle. There are 6 of us. I have 3 siblings, 2 dogs, and parents who probably never thought they would end up with as many kids as they did, but it keeps them young and they need that. My family has been through thick and thin, but we have always come out of it laughing. As we've gotten older and don't live at home anymore, I have realized that memories of us growing up in a big family, even as the middle child, are some of our very best times. 22 years ago, my older sister Arden was born. She is the oldest in the brains. She has and always will be the smartest of the family. As the only one who didn't come to Suffield, she likes to say she would get an Ivy if she attended. She spent all her high school career studying. She was like my second mom, not because my mom wasn't around, but just because my Arden liked to be in charge. When she babysat us, she would tell us to do chores or clean. Since she was only 15 and a couple years older than us, we hated that she bossed us around. We would call her mom to make her realize she was being too much like our mom. She hated this, but we all laugh about it now. It was always fun to complain that as the oldest, she was able to tell us what to do. I used to always want to be like her. I would steal her makeup or her clothes from her room and then get yelled at for not asking her, which only made me want to do it more. Although she had a rough couple of years, she is now 22 years old, graduating from Boston University this spring. We have gotten along these past 18 years, but I've never looked up to someone more in my life. 2 years after Arden came Barrett, the only boy between three sisters. Barrett graduated from Suffield in 2021. He came as a new junior and had a rough couple of days, but after that it was history. He lived in Spencer and then in Fuller and could talk for hours about his experiences he had in the corner room of Fuller. Barrett has always had energy, whether it was playing with his love for Thomas the Train, which evolved to his obsession with certain things like the color gold, bacon, or sports jerseys, and more recently his loud yelling with his friends playing Xbox. He has always cracked jokes and constantly has the family and people around him laughing. He is, still at 20 years old, a big baby and jokes at times he probably shouldn't, but he never fails to lighten the mood with an out-of-pocket joke. When we were kids, he used to tease me and everyone in the family thought it was funny. I didn't find it as funny and would normally end up crying to my mom, but because he was the only boy, he would get off easy and my mom would pull the That's What Brothers Are For card. But as time has gone on and we both matured, he has made fun of me less. Now he knows everything about everyone. He constantly asks me to fill him in on, quote, Suffield tea, and will respond with period, queen, or slay. Growing up in a family of all girls, Barrett would always have people say they were sorry he didn't have a brother. But if there is one person that now knows how to deal with girls because of us, it is him. Lastly, Karis. Karis is known as Care Bear and our family's baby. Although I was only 2 when Karis was born, I would need to be around her all the time. There are videos of me hanging off her high chair when she was eating and sitting on the couch watching Dora with her on my lap. Karis and I were besties from the jump. We spent all of our free time together. We were inseparable. I loved having a little sister, mostly because I knew what was in store. I would get the best picks because I was older. When we wanted to play dress up, I would get to pick my outfit first. Playing dolls, I would get the better one. She didn't have a problem with it, mostly because she looked up to me. However, once she got older, I noticed that she got to do whatever she wanted because she was the baby. She got newer clothes, got to stay out later, got to do things the rest of us couldn't because my parents were getting tired and she was the last one. This bothered me and I would constantly say how it was unfair. We still get into our typical sibling fights, mostly about clothes and shoes, and her being too young to get her 3rd piercings because I just got mine last year. Now that she is also at Suffield, we are even more close. Today, she has grown to almost be taller than me, but also into an amazing person. She will forever be the baby no matter how old she is, and my parents will always make sure she's okay before any one of us. She knows I will be there for her and always have her back, even after we're all at college and she's still in high school. So where does that leave me? In case you haven't noticed, I'm the only one without anything special. I am just the middle. That used to make me mad, but now I realized that being in the middle of all those 3 things, the oldest, the only boy, and the baby, has made me grateful. I didn't have to worry about upholding a special family title. Instead, I was able to be myself and take the best and the worst of my siblings in. I'm the heart of my family. I bring everyone together and make sure we respond to my mom's 30 Instagram reels about kittens or puppies, or making sure we all like my dad's text of him sending selfies to our group chat wearing all 3 pairs of Arden sunglasses. Being just the middle has taught me that life isn't always going to give you something special, but that even in the hard or unfair times, the one thing you can always count on is your family to be there for you. I still will always say that middle children are underrated and looked past, but I realize that without a middle child as the core and glue of the family, it just doesn't work. My family is the most important thing to me, so I'm proud to be right in the middle. Thank you.
Hi Suffield, I'm Olivia Horowitz, a 3-year boarder from New Canaan, Connecticut. I remember move-in day like it was yesterday, which is a bit unfortunate because I think we can all agree packing our life up and unpacking it all into a dorm room in one afternoon is unnecessarily taxing. My dad, Steve Horowitz, class of 1987, broke a sweat, carrying my bags up 2 flights of stairs, but he remembers this day more fondly than I do, forgetting the stressful and inevitable rush that moving day entails and replacing it with awe. He had not been on campus since he visited in his 20s and couldn't believe the transformation. He was most shocked by the rearrangement of dorms, pointing out that most of the students lived on the other side of Main Street. Walking down Stiles on the way to Cochin, he unleashed his inner tiger. Steve Horowitz back at Suffield once again. In the midst of his excitement, my dad showed me what Suffield would be for me during the upcoming years. He ran into past classmates, most notably Mr. Regal, Miss Cook, and Mrs. Can. They greeted each other with that same warmth displayed in every nook and cranny of Suffield Academy. To this day, he is close to many people from Suffield. My dad's current business partner, Trip Neighbors, is a classmate and good friend of his from Suffield as well. All of this was foreshadowing to what would become my most memorable experiences as a student at Suffield. The friendships I've made here. I know they stand the test of time. When I toured Suffield with my mom in the spring of 2020, it was the beginning of the pandemic and the school had just closed. Mrs. Hoddesy, who would become my advisor, gave me my tour. Mr. Can showed me old yearbook photos of my dad. It felt like home. Then, as we were saying goodbye, Mr. Lowe walked out of Brewster Hall where we were standing in front of and introduced himself. He asked if I was looking at the school, and I said yes, introducing myself and mentioning my dad, knowing Mr. Lowe had been my dad's coach, teacher, and dorm parent. Mr. Lowe couldn't believe it. We were all shocked. I was lucky enough to also have Mr. Lowe as my teacher this year, 36 years after he taught my dad. It's a great feeling to know my dad has walked the same path I've walked, even if it's just math class at 8 o'clock in the morning. I have loved many of my classes and activities at Suffield, or one in particular was art special, but I took both my junior and senior years. I was given many mediums to work with, and we had freedom to create what we wanted. I was so proud to display my work in the student art show. This experience helped me realize that I may want a minor in art history in college. My parents are both in business, and taking business ethics this year at Suffield has prepared me to major in business in college. I was always interested in the idea of boarding school after hearing about it growing up, and now that I've come to one, it has taught me many valuable life lessons, given me new experiences, and prepared me for the future. I truly cannot imagine spending these core years anywhere else. I would advise all Suffield students to take part in all of the things this place has to offer, because time really does fly by, and before you know it, you'll be a senior, standing on the podium and smiling when you spot the faces of your friends, knowing that no matter where life takes you, they will somehow be a part of your story too. Thank you to my advisor, Mrs. Hoddesy, for always being there for me. Thank you to my siblings, and lastly, thank you to my mom and dad for always supporting me and giving me the opportunity to go to Suffield. Thank you.
Hi Suffield, my name is Morgan Maglieri and I am a four-year senior from Southborough, Massachusetts. Being only 2.5 years apart in age from my sister Ava had both its advantages and disadvantages. On the pro side, we loved many of the same things: Barbies, dancing, singing, playing dress-up, and reading books. On the con side, we loved the same things, leading to endless opportunities for instigations, arguments, and altercations. I loved to push her buttons, which often led to her retaliating with violence. One of my favorite memories was after I just learned to ride my bike and was suddenly hit from the side by a pink Barbie Jeep. I fell to the ground and looked up to see my sister laughing. It did not stop there, however, as she proceeded to run me over as I laid face down on the pavement. Ava showed no remorse as she stood over me laughing as I cried. Regardless of the continuous antics, one thing was for certain: we shared a non-stop stream of time together, which resulted in an impressive bond full of rivalry and love. However, as we grew up, the two-year age gap felt bigger and bigger. School got more challenging for me, we had more afternoon commitments, and we no longer liked the same things. I grew out of our Barbie phase. I didn't want to play dress-up, and I could no longer fit in our tiny Barbie Jeep. I believed I was on to bigger and better things, and the thought of hanging with my sister seemed of little interest to me. I would only see her in the evenings after school and during dinner. I did not realize how distant we had become, and I was so absorbed in my own world. I stopped making an effort to be with her one-on-one because I didn't know it mattered. Living in the same house gave me the notion that I did not need to make that effort, as I knew she was just in the other room. I didn't realize how important spending time together was to our relationship, and most importantly, I didn't even realize how important our relationship was. It was not until after I left for boarding school that I realized spending time with your siblings is neither endless nor inevitable. And so it was that when I came to Suffield, Ava and I grew even more distant. I was so busy navigating my new life here, getting used to the schedule, afternoon sports, and living away from home for the first time. We occasionally talked on the phone, but by that point she had her own daily rhythms and hobbies and had long given up on asking me to hang out. The sibling bonds that are nourished from sharing space and time together became weaker and weaker. Just as the closeness between us continued to diminish, so did our interests, making connections harder to forge. However, when my sister decided to attend Suffield Academy the next year, all of that changed. We began to connect over our lives at Suffield, which now began to hold similarities. I wanted to teach her the ins and outs of the school, such as which teachers will dress code you and to never sit in the senior section. Our schedules often aligned, so we frequently passed each other in the hallway. We knew many of the same people and saw each other at games and school events. We began to relate over our love for ceramics, how we disliked Saturday classes, and by showing up to support each other at our soccer or lacrosse games. I really started appreciating these run-ins and common experiences. Although it may seem like it in the moment, our time is not endless. While the days feel long, the weeks fly by. As seniors, we are constantly reminded how finite our time at Suffield is. This is why it's so important to appreciate every minute of it and specifically to take advantage of the time you have left with those you care about. I know I cherish every moment I get to spend with my sister, and I feel lucky to have recognized this. I'm glad I can be there for her and be grateful that she can be there for me when times get difficult. I look forward to spending time with her over break through our daily trips to Dunkin' Donuts and watching endless hours of The Office. We bond over what we're working on in the ceramics studio, how much homework we have that night, and how we can gang up on mom and dad. As I head off to college next year, I really will miss seeing her every day. However, this time I'll be carrying with me the mindset that my time is not endless. It's important to always stay close to the ones who are important to you and to be present for the times that you can be together. I'd love to be at Suffield with my sister through her first years of high school. She is one of the most hardworking and passionate people I know, and I'm confident she will excel in whatever she does. She always keeps me in check and is not afraid to voice her opinion. Even through all the challenges she has faced, she's taken them head on and shown me that anything is possible. Ava, thank you for always being there for me, making me laugh, and always reminding me that I'm shorter than you. Thank you.
Hi Suffield, my name is Campbell Rosso and I'm a four-year senior from Fairfield, Connecticut. Today I want to talk about regret. It is something I think of every time I think of Pop-Pop. Pop-Pop is my grandfather who passed away due to a heart condition. I was 12 at the time. I have always been close with my grandparents. My sisters and I would go to their house for cousin sleepovers, we would have regular dinners together, we would stop by for the afternoon, go on vacations together, and spend every holiday with them. My grandparents were four people that I could always count on to have M&Ms in a bowl that my sisters and I could sneak handfuls of when my mom wasn't looking, or someone who gave me a sip of soda, something my mom never bought. Let's just say, at the time, I never saw my life without them. But then in 2012, my grandfather was diagnosed with amyloidosis. At first, my parents rarely talked about it. They caught it early, so it wasn't portrayed as a big concern for my sisters and I. Everything changed 5 years later when I woke up one morning for school only to be told my mom had flown down to Florida because Pop-Pop came down with a life-threatening infection. From then on, he was in and out of the hospital, and I began to get very distant. I was never comfortable being around Pop-Pop when he couldn't walk and was barely able to talk. I masked my sadness with fear by sitting in the hospital or in the living room with him in his brown recliner chair in silence. This was my way of coping. I was too scared to say goodbye, so I tried my best to ignore the situation altogether. But because of this, it feels like I never knew him as a person. I just knew him as my grandfather. I wish every day now that I would have asked my mom to bring me to the hospital or to his house to see him more. The day I dreaded had finally come. December 16, 2017, Pop-Pop passed away. I was unable to wrap my head around saying a forever goodbye to my grandfather, the person that spread so much love and joy to me and my family. I am so lucky to have had the 12 years I did with him, and even though I feel robbed because they were cut short, his death is a reminder to me that my grandparents are not going to be around forever. I never asked Pop-Pop about his family when he was growing up, and because so much time has passed, I don't remember many of the stories he told me. This feeling of regret lies heavy on my chest. I would love to have just one more day with him, to be able to tell him how much I love him and how thankful I am to be his granddaughter. To ask him all the questions I wish he could answer today, because I never want to feel what I felt when I realized I could never do that again. From then on, I've made it my goal to spend more time with my three grandparents, to make memories with each of them. So now, I want to introduce you to all of them. Gammy and Gampy, my dad's parents, are two amazing, caring, and loving people that have gifted me with amazing opportunities throughout my life. I would not be here without them. Nina, my grandma, and Pop-Pop's wife, has filled my life with eternal smiles and laughs. She's shown me what it means to be strong and how to persevere through hard times. These three amazing grandparents have stuck by my side no matter what. I am proud to be their granddaughter and strive every day to make them proud. Pop-Up is now my guardian angel and someone I look for guidance. My family believes he came back as a bunny, so whenever I see one, I know he's there, watching over me with a smile that reaches from one ear to the other. I saw him during my training trip this year in Florida, the day that marked 5 years without him. He comes around on Easter when my cousins, Nina, and extended family are all together, and always when I'm having a bad day or missing him extra. Regret is an overwhelming and powerful feeling. You never want to look back on an experience and believe you had missed an opportunity. So spread love, kindness, and support always. Thank you.
Hello, Suffield. My name is Matsonis, and I'm a four-year senior from East Granby, Connecticut. And today I'd like to use this time to show my appreciation to my parents for being such a great influence in my life. Before I talk about my parents, I'd also like to briefly thank my siblings. My sister Isabella, thank you all for always being there for me and being a great example. You also never fail to be a topic of conversation with my friends. My brother Aiden, who always gives great advice and is always ready to rally and have fun. I'd also like to thank my teachers and all the staff who supported me through my time at Suffield, as well as my advisor, Mr. Stone, who is always looking out for me. Now my mother. Thank you for everything you do and always being there for me. I know that's the same thing everybody says, but my mom has truly always been there for me. Whether it's a small thing like helping me study, or a small thing like getting me some Dunkin' Donuts, or it's a big thing like always bringing me and my siblings on vacation and giving me the opportunity to see the world in different experiences, which is a luxury that not many have. Some of my greatest memories came from these vacations, such as Mexico, where my brother and I dominated the basketball courts during the day, and my mom dominated the bull riding machine at her favorite restaurant during the night. For that, I'm very appreciative. Thank you for giving me your sense of humor and great genetics. That being said, I'm glad we don't have the same taste in movies, because I'm pretty sure you keep the Hallmark Channel in business. She's always making sure my siblings and I are safe, just like the time she called 911 when our carbon monoxide detector ran out of batteries, or the other time when my siblings and I were at our dad's house, and she messaged us saying that we got robbed. We didn't get robbed. She was just trying to scare us into locking the door before we left the house. I am grateful for all these memories and wouldn't trade them for the world. My mom truly cares about me, and all her hard work inspires me to do the best I can. Thank you, Mom. Now my father. I don't really know where to start here. My dad passed away in January of 2020, and he was the best father I could ask for. He taught me many things in life, and I wish he was still here to see my accomplishments. My dad was a big inspiration to me and also very well respected. He was also a great coach. He was the reason I developed a passion for baseball, as he coached me all throughout my childhood. He gave me the nickname Jeets after the player Derek Jeter, even though I'm a Red Sox fan. He had a great sense of humor as well. I remember the one time during the game, he was the third base coach, and a foul ball was hit at him. Being the drama king that he was, he collapsed on the field and took a couple minutes to get back up, if I remember correctly. All his players loved him as a coach, including me, because he really cared about them. He would always buy the whole team ice cream after a win, which was pretty much every game because we didn't lose often. One of my favorite memories of my dad that never fails to make me laugh is when he met Ed Sheeran in an elevator, and he called him the little leprechaun man. I don't think Ed Sheeran was very upset about this because he looked pretty happy in the picture that he took with my dad. There was also the time he took my sister and her friends to vacation, and he was lying next to a pool. My dad's not a super tan guy, so after a couple hours and he fell asleep, he woke up pretty sunburned, and I think he had to go to the hospital. Like, it was pretty bad, but it was funny. He claimed that my sister was supposed to get the sunscreen and wake him up, but who really knows if that's true or not. And when we were younger, he constantly tried to convince my siblings and I that his hand was fake because he got bitten off in a shark attack. And honestly, to this day, I'm not really sure if it was fake or not. In all seriousness, my dad was a great guy and loved by many people. I think this was shown at his wake, when the line of people there to pay their respects was out the door. Kids from baseball teams showed up in full uniform because he was such a great coach. He's the type of guy who could ask the fire department who was struggling financially around Christmas so he could help them out. My father touched many people in his life, and I strive to do the same. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Suffield. My name is Owen Shipman, and I'm a four-year senior from West Hartford, Connecticut. This school year has been unexpected for me, to say the least. My first 3 years at Suffield, I was a day student. This consisted of waking up early to get ready for school, and then leaving well in the evening. Heading into my senior year, our family made the decision to move from my childhood home in West Hartford. The move has been bittersweet for me, but thanks to my two roommates, Ryan and Declan, I've been able to experience Suffield from a boarder's perspective. Becoming a boarder has many positives to it. There's never a dull moment in the dorm, and most importantly, I am able to get a lot more sleep than I used to. This was not always the case, as my first night sleeping in the dorm did not go as expected. I was extremely excited that I was finally going to see what the dorm was like at night with my friends. At first, it was normal. It was a normal and fun night, talking and playing FIFA with friends. As the games continued to get closer and more competitive, I totally forgot to check the time. When I finally remembered and looked down at my phone, I was awake much later than I should have been. I scurried to go brush my teeth and get as much sleep as possible before the next day. However, I forgot one very important aspect about being a boarder. I would not be sleeping in the same bed I slept in since I was a child. This hit me as soon as I laid down and got ready to go to sleep. After a night of tossing and turning in what felt like my thoughts being read out loud, horrible news had come. Ryan's now signature and definitely not annoying alarm clock had sounded, and it was time to get up and get ready for classes. And I had not slept a single second due to my new sleeping situation. This first night was extremely important as it taught me the value of sleep and making sure to constantly be responsible to stay on track while living in school. It is fair to say now that I've adapted into the dorm, however, there are still some aspects that are hard to get used to. Most notably, going so long without seeing the 3 people that I love and have spent every day with. Going from waking up early to a home-cooked meal while being surrounded by the people that support and cheer me no matter what has not been the easiest. Though late-night calls with my parents are always the best, it's not the same as living with them. Transitioning into a boarder would not be possible without my 2 roommates, Ryan and Devin. I appreciate you guys for welcoming me into the dorm on such short notice so early into the school year. Having a 3rd roommate after rooming together for 2 years is a big change, and I appreciate you guys for allowing me to join. To the day student boys, whether it is playing video games before lunch or weekends enjoying the days off, I feel as if I'm always laughing when we are together. I will cherish the memories we've made these 4 years, and I am excited to make more. My advisor, Mr. Stone, your daily check-ins and thoughtful guidance have gotten me through these 4 years at Suffield. I appreciate all you've done to help me be the best version of myself. And to my brothers and parents, Matt, thank you for being my fiercest competitor in sports, but always the most caring older brother. Well, this doesn't make sense anymore because you're here, but this time away from you has been hard to say the least, but I know we'll pick up right where we left off. Dad, your work ethic and optimism inspires me every day. You're always there to give me advice when I'm feeling down or in need of help, and I appreciate the support you always give me. Mom, your unconditional love and support push me through the bad days. You're always in my corner, and I cannot express how thankful I am for all you do. Lastly, thank you to all the faculty, students, and other members in the Suffield community that have helped me grow into the person I am today. These past 4 years have had its ups and downs, but I can truly say I've enjoyed my time at Suffield. Thank you.
Hi, Sophia. My name is Daniel Zola, or Donnie, as many people like to call me, and I'm a 2-year senior from New York City. My first significant memory here at Suffield was at the beginning of last year in the Union. I was playing ping pong when a kid sitting in one of the chairs nearby asked if I was new and promptly introduced himself. That kid was Owen Shipman, and he seemed fascinated that I was from the city. It was the first time I noticed how different the culture was out here than back home. Owen introduced me to Drew and Carter. My career at Suffield soon kicked off. It was initially rough in the dorm, connecting with dorm mates as I was in senior classes. Still, I connected with people through JV soccer and met the person who enabled my second significant memory, Cole Vandermeer. Cole was a senior last year and was the captain of JV soccer along with Harry Kemp, and through that team I formed lasting bonds. One day I was very late for dinner and almost nobody was there. All my junior friends were gone, but there was a table of seniors. Among them was Cole, and an open seat next to him. I walked over and sat down at a table of complete strangers and familiarized myself. It was quite possibly the scariest thing I'd ever done. But it was worth it. I got to know a whole new group of people, and they were super accepting and curious. Just like what chapel speakers like myself say, I put myself out there and broke out of my comfort zone. I began staying more in the dining hall, eating with people instead of returning to my room. Fast forward to the spring at the end of the tennis season, we're at Deerfield getting wiped out. I'm locked in a neck-to-neck battle with the Deerfield player. I was desperately fighting for a win. My toes and hands were developing blisters from hours of consecutive play. The racket strings were coming apart and my grip was unraveling. While other Suffield players played their matches and lost, I was ultimately down a point in the end. I thought of Suffield, and a pride for our institution flowed through me, and I prevailed. And prevented the sweep. The Suffield varsity tennis team was now officially the most unsweepable team in New England. We even made it to the NEPSAC tournament. The people I befriended created a home for me, and I hope you can all do the same for your peers. Inclusion is having a seat at the table, while belonging is having your voice heard. Shout out to my mom for being two parents and for giving me everything. Love you.